Hi again, everyone. Gary Digital Williams here on Boxing Along the Beltway. Our news and notes for this week and our first podcast of 2018. Happy New Year to everybody. Hope everybody had a wonderful holiday season and getting ready to start with some big things going on in the actually, technically outside the Beltway, really, but involving a lot of our Beltway boxers. And we are off to a roaring start in 2018, and it takes place as early as this week. That's when it starts. So we'll give you all the details on what's coming up in the next couple weeks right here on our first podcast of 2018. Beltway Boxing News and Notes brought to you by Real-Time Pain Relief. From boxers to ballerinas, for shoulder pain to muscle strain, everything in between, Boxing Along the Beltway recommends Real-Time Pain Relief, the natural, plant-based, safe, fast, and effective ointment. And if you go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real-Time Pain Relief, you get a free $10 tube of Real-Time Pain Relief. Rub it on, the pain is gone in real time. Well, everything kicks off this coming Friday, January the 12th, when 10-time world champion and 2-time Beltway Boxer of the Year, Tori Shonuff Nelson of Ashburn, Virginia. She'll take on Clarissa T-Rex Shields of Flint, Michigan. About that's scheduled for 10 rounds for Shields' IBF and WBC super middleweight championships. And the bout will be headline a Showbox card on Showtime. That will begin at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. So they'll be battling for the super middleweight championship. Nelson comes off a second-round stoppage of Latasha Burton on November 4th. That was in Ashburn at the Silver Eagle Group Arena. We had that card here on the Boxing On Beltway Google app for Android. Burton injured her leg in that contest, could not continue. And again, she's won 10 world titles, and those titles came in 4 different weight divisions: welterweight, junior middleweight, and super middleweight. So she has had a fantastic career thus far. Shields, of course, the 2-time Olympic gold medalist. She's 4-0, 2 KOs. She won those 2 world titles she has, the IBF and WBC super middleweight championships, against previously undefeated Nikki Adler. That was on August 4th in Detroit, Michigan. And Shields made her pro debut against another Beltway boxer, Franchon Cruz DeZern, back in November of 2016 in Las Vegas, and Shields won a 4-round unanimous decision. Now, as far as this bout is concerned, it's getting good publicity. There's an article, and you can see the link on it on my blog from ESPNW.com, the women's ESPN page, that talks about Nelson, gives her background, and actually Shields has called her, and this is facetiously nothing, no malice behind this as far as I know, calls her grandma, because Nelson is 41 years old. And she got into this really kind of by accident. She came in boxing just to, as I said before, to stay in shape and keep fit, because she was an athlete throughout. But she's just been tremendous. Again, she's the first Beltway boxer to win Beltway Boxer of the Year in back-to-back years. Jared Hurd did that this year. But she's a remarkable person. There's no question about that. As I think people will see when the bout takes place from the Turning Stone Casino in Verona, New York on Friday. Now, I don't make a prediction on the card on a bout because I think it can go either way. It's a pick-em bout as far as I'm concerned, because Nelson obviously has the most experience of any boxer that Shields has faced. Nelson's 17-0-3, 2 KOs. Power may be an issue, but I think heart, Nelson has that in spades as far as I'm concerned. My prediction, however, is that win or lose, I really do believe, and I'll be shocked if it continues to happen, but I really do believe that win or lose, this will be the last time we see Tori Nelson in a boxing ring. That's just my personal prediction. I don't have any basis behind it, don't have any facts behind it, don't know any inside information, but I really do believe that Nelson can cash out on this card, on this bout, and I think she will. And I think this will be it for her. And like I said, one way or another, whether she wins or loses Friday night, she's had a glorious career she can certainly be proud of. I'm proud of her. I love watching her, and I've had the honor of watching many of her bouts over the last few years. Of course, the great bout against Mia St. John, I was fortunate enough to be the ring announcer for that particular bout, one of the highlights of my life, and hosting the press conference prior to as well. So, Tori Nelson personally has given me a lot of great thrills. I know she's given a lot of our Beltway boxing fans great thrills as well. And I would not be surprised. I don't think she'll be able to get, one reason why I do say it is because I don't think she'll be able to get any other bouts with any other of the big boxers, with namely people like Cecilia Brackhouse, like Christina Hammer, who was actually scheduled to be on this card, but apparently she's off the card now for whatever reason. And I just don't think that she'll get those bouts. I really don't. Now at this point, I think they're too scared of her. And of course, she beats Clarissa Shields. Nobody's going to want to touch her with a 10-foot pole. I mean, that's just my personal belief. So I think one way or another, win or lose, she will cash out on this situation and call it a career, and a great career it has been. So we'll see. So the bouts get underway at 10 p.m. Eastern time on Friday, January the 12th for the Attorney Stokencito in Verona, New York. That'll be 10 p.m. Eastern time on Showtime. Now on the undercard, speaking of Franchon Cruz-Dezurn, she'll be on the card as well, and she made some news this week as well. Before we get to that news, Franchon Cruz-Dezurn, who's 2-1, 1 KO, she knocked out Latasha Burton in the first round in March of 2017, March 25th, at the Physical Activity Center at UDC in Washington, D.C. And then she won a 4-round unanimous decision over Sidney LeBlanc on August 12th at the Howard Theater in D.C. Now, Cruz-Dezurn will take on Tiffany Woodard of Wilson, North Carolina on this card. And Wilson Woodard is 4-9-3, 3 KOs, about to schedule for 6 rounds on the undercard. Now, Franchon Cruz-Dezurn made a nice signing. She signed with Salida Promotions, who is promoting this card, and Turning Stone Casino. And she is a member of that promotional group now. And she also joins Clarissa Shields, who is also a Salida Promotions project. So it's amazing. They also have Christina Hammer, by the way, too. So Franchon Cruz-Dezurn will be on this card, scheduled for 6 rounds. Her first 6-rounder, by the way, on Friday, January 12th at the Turning Stone Casino. So best wishes to both to our Beltway queens, Tori Nelson and Franchon Cruz-Dezurn. And of course, Friday's card starts off a huge week and a huge couple of months outside the Beltway, unfortunately, but still, for a lot of our Beltway boxers, they're going to be in some big bouts coming up in the next few weeks. Of course, I think really none bigger than what's going to take place on Saturday, January the 20th, when former 3-time world champion Lamont Peterson of D.C. will be in a 12-round contest against undefeated Elder Truth Spence Jr. out of DeSoto, Texas, and that'll be for Spence's IBF welterweight title. And if Peterson wins this bout, by the way, he'll be only the second person in, I think, Beltway boxing history to hold more than 3 world titles. It'll be his 4th world title if he wins this. Actually, he has technically won 4. One of them was an interim title, and that was the WO title he won a few years ago. But 4 legitimate world titles Peterson can win if he defeats Errol Spence on Saturday, January 20th. That bout will also be on Showtime. We'll give you the time for that one next week. Peterson, who's 35-3-1, 17 KOs, he last fought on February the 18th. He won a 12-round unanimous decision over David Avanesyan in Cincinnati, Ohio. Now, Peterson won the regular WBA welterweight title on that particular bout, but he gave up the belt late in 2017. Peterson, if there's one thing in his favor, Mont Peterson is great in world title bouts. He is 6-1 in world title bouts. Okay, so we'll see what happens there. Spence is 22-0, 19 KOs, making the first defense of that IBF title that he won in a brutal way, in a great way, against Kell Brook on May 27th. He traveled to Sheffield, England, and really beat up on Kell Brook, fractured his eye, orbital bone around his eye, and was able to win the title. Spence represented the U.S. in the 2012 Olympics. He's 2-0 against current or former world champions. He knocked out both Kell Brook and he knocked out Chris Algieri. So that's a great one there. That's going to be a great bout. I'll be really looking forward to it. I am as well. So it should be an outstanding bout coming up on Saturday, January the 20th. And by the way, there's a bus trip going to New York at the Barclays Center to see Peterson and Spence. Bus tickets are $60, and all proceeds are going to the Junior Olympic program, the PBA Junior Olympic program. More information, you want to call 202-528-7694. You get the information on fight tickets as well for the card. Once again, that's 202-528-7694 for the bus trip going to the Barclays Center to see Lamont Peterson take on Errol Spence on Saturday, January the 20th. If you can't make the bus trip, of course, you can watch the fight on Showtime Championship Boxing. Now, there's another couple of big bouts coming up next in February. Before we get to those bouts, got a couple things to talk about in January. On Friday, January 26th, at the Sugar House Casino in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, got a couple of Beltway boxers there. No, I'm sorry, just one Beltway boxer, that card. That's Joshua Dynamite Davis out of Washington, D.C., the super featherweight. Davis trying to bounce back off his loss to undefeated Ray Lampkin at the Georgia Freight Depot in Atlanta, Georgia. That was on October 19th. He lost 6-round unanimous decision on that card. That card was on national television as well. And Davis will take on Stephen Ortiz of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Ortiz is undefeated 7-0 with 2 KOs. He's coming off a 6-round unanimous decision over Tyrone Jones at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He fought there his last 4 bouts, but this one is going to be at the Sugar House Casino in Philadelphia. Once again, that's on Friday, January 26th. That bout is scheduled for 8 rounds coming up on Friday, January 26th. Then on Saturday, January 27th, and this bout will take place at the Orlando Live Event Center in Orlando, Florida. This is where we have 2 Beltway boxers on this card. James Too Slick Early out of Seat Pleasant, Maryland. He's a featherweight. He'll be in a 4-round contest as he takes on Alex Flash Roman out of Kissimmee, Florida. And once again, that bout is scheduled for 4 rounds. James Earl is 2-2, and he lost his last bout. Actually, he's lost 2 straight. He lost a 4-round unanimous decision to Juan Sanchez on November 21st at the Sands Bethlehem Event Center in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Sanchez was undefeated going in. He lost 4-round unanimous decision there, and prior to that, he lost a 6-round majority decision to Reggie Barnett on December 10th of 2016 at the ABC Sports Complex in Springfield, Virginia. So Early trying to get back on track here against Alex Roman. Now, Alex Roman is 3-1-1. Oh, no, correction. He is 4-2 in his career. He's coming off, however, a 4th round knockout loss to Aldir Landon. That was at the Tony Rosa Community Center in Palm Beach, Florida on February 26th of 2016. So he's not fought since February of last year. So 2 years ago, February 2 years ago now, Alex Roman. So we'll see what happens there as he takes on James Too Slick Early. Also on that card, Ashton Dagoon Sykes out of Columbia, Maryland. He's 1-1. He'll be in a 4-round bout. He'll take on the debuting Arman Rizbek. Arman Rizbek from Shimkent, Kazakhstan, now fighting out of Kissimmee, Florida. He's making his pro debut. Sykes, as we said, 1-1. He's coming off a 4-round majority decision loss to Angel Martinez. That was at the Brian Glazer Family Jewish Community Center Auditorium in Tampa, Florida. Now, Angel Martinez had an under 500 record. He was 7-9-3, so that's a tough loss, majority decision loss that he took there in that situation. So Ashton Sykes has to bounce back on that situation. Once again, that's January 27th at the Orlando Live Event Center in Orlando, Florida. Now, our next big bout keeps us in Florida. It takes us to Pensacola, Florida, where truly one of the greatest boxers of all time will be making his final home appearance on this card at the Pensacola Civic Center. And that's, of course, Roy Jones Jr. He is scheduled to take on very own Beltway boxer Scott Cujo Sigmund out of Lynchburg, Virginia on Saturday, February 8th. Now, Sigmund comes off a 10th round unanimous decision over Javier Frazier on August 27th in Lynchburg, Virginia. Sigmund 30-11-1 with 16 KOs. Now, again, we've said this time and time again about Scott Sigmund. The situation that when he goes up against quality boxers, he has not fared as well. All 11 of his defeats have come up against quality opponents. I mean, guys who have either won world championships, on their way to winning world championships. He's done an outstanding job. He He's lost to the likes of Kelly Pavlik, newly crowned world title holder Caleb Truex, also J. Leon Love, Matt Korobov, Luis Arias, Ronald Graville. Just some of the boxes that he has fallen to in his career. So every time he has come up, he has not done well, but he has always given a great performance of himself, and that's where a lot of the bouts are coming forward. So we'll see what happens with Scott Sigmund. Takes on Roy Jones Jr. Now, by the time this bout takes place, Roy Jones Jr. will be 49 years old. He's coming off an 8th round TKO victory over Bobby Gunn in Wilmington, Delaware. And Jones is currently riding a 3-bout winning streak since his last loss, which was a crushing knockout. Oh, he was laid out that night against Enzo Maccarinelli in December 2015. That was in Moscow, Russia. Now, Jones has faced 2 other Beltway boxers in his career. He defeated Percy No Mercy Harris by a 4th round TKO in December of 1992. That's in Atlantic City, New Jersey. That was way back in his career. And then he stopped Willie Williams out of Baltimore in March of 2015 in Concord, North Carolina. Now, I don't know exactly what bout this bout is going to be. I've heard it's probably going to be a cruiserweight. It could possibly be a heavyweight because Jones has fought there too. But I don't know where the bout's going to be. I know it's not going to be a super middleweight, so Scott doesn't have to worry about making weight primarily in this case. But I think it's going to get up to at least cruiserweight, if not heavyweight, by the time we get to February the 8th. Now, a trivia note for you. Roy Jones Jr. won his first world title in Washington, D.C. One of y'all remember this. On May 22nd, 1993, Roy Jones Jr. won his first title, the IBF middleweight title, when he won an awful 12-round unanimous decision. It was a terrible bout against Bernard Hopkins. That was at RFK Stadium on the undercard. Actually, the co-feature of none other than Riddick Bowe and Jesse Ferguson. One of y'all remember that. That was HBO card. And I think for a long time, that was the last time that HBO actually came to do a bout in Washington, D.C. It took a long time, I think up until Lamont Peterson fought Amir Khan. Okay? So that was very interesting. Also, Bernard Hopkins won his first world title in the Beltway area. Of course, he won his belt on April 29th, 1995 at the US Air Arena in Largo when he knocked out Segundo Mercado in the 7th round. That was on the co-feature of Vincent Petway, Simon Brown at the US Air Arena. So just a little trivia note for you there. And that tells you how much we meant to the Beltway, to boxing at large in the last 30 years or so. Now, if that's not enough, there's so much going on. I mean, we got the bouts in January. We're already talking about February, but on February the 10th, Saturday, February 10th, at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, the Ageless Wonder, and that's what I keep calling him, the Ageless Wonder, DeMarcus Chop Chop Corley, will go after Hammering Hank Lundy of Philadelphia in a bout that is scheduled to be for 10 rounds. I believe it's a 10-round bout. This is an amazing bout. Corley, who's now 43 years old, he's 50, 28-1, 28 KOs. He's won 2 of his last 3 bouts in 2017. He lost a close 10-round unanimous decision to Giovanni Santiago. A lot of people thought he won that bout. That was on April 7th at Toho Baja, Puerto Rico. Then he won a 10-round unanimous decision over former world champion Vivian Harris on May 20th in Raleigh, North Carolina. That was for the UBF All-America's Welterweight Championship. Then he traveled to Kingston, Jamaica, won an 8-round unanimous decision over Ramel Lewis on July the 12th. So Corley continues to be busy and just in incredible shape. No question about that. Now, Hank Lundy, who's 28-6-1, 14 KOs. He's no spring chicken either. He's 34 years old. He's won 2 straight contests since suffering his last loss in a world title opportunity against Terrence Crawford. That was back in February 2016 in New York City. Lundy was knocked out in the 5th round as he challenged for Crawford's WBO super lightweight title. Lundy bounced back, however. He won a 12-round unanimous decision over John Delperdang. That was in December 2016 in Cincinnati, Ohio. He won the vacant UBF world lightweight title. And in his only bout in 2017, Lundy notched the 5th round TKO over Daniel Evangelista Jr. That was on June 2nd at the 2300 Arena. So, again, this is interesting to see what happens here with that bout coming up. So that should be very, very interesting contest coming up. And then on February the 13th, and I believe this bout is at the Sands Bethlehem Events Casino in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I will double check that. We'll know more next week. I don't have it in front of me. But a couple of Beltway boxers on this card. Michael the Professor Fox is on this card for one. And we'll tell you more about that card next week. But that's very interesting as well. That card coming up on Saturday, February 13th. Malik Lofton also scheduled to be on that card as well. So the only Beltway card that's going to take place in either January or right now in February, because February looks pretty dark as well, will be an amateur card. Our first Beltway card of the year will be an amateur card, and that'll be the Super Brawl of Boxing on Friday night, January 26th at Michaels 8th Avenue in Glen Burnie, Maryland, and that'll be promoted by Jake Smith and Baltimore Boxing. Now, the headline on that card will be a unification middleweight title bout between Maryland State title holder Deshaun Chase of Baltimore Boxing Club. He'll take on East Coast champion Marquise Moore. Now, this is not the same Marquise Moore that moved to Colorado. No, this is not the same one. Marquise Moore is out of Salisbury's Main Street Gym in Salisbury, Maryland. Marquise Moore, who moved to Colorado, used to be in the Beltway, used to be Beltway as an amateur, is a pro now. So I know this is not the same one. So that's the big bout there. Also, the card will feature the debut of former pro football player Leon Joe. Now, Leon Joe has an interesting history. He's originally from Dayton, Ohio, but he went to high school at Friendly High School in Fort Washington, Maryland, so he has some PG, Prince George's County connections there, and he played his college ball at the University of Maryland. Joe was drafted in the 4th round in Chicago by the Chicago Bears, and participated in Super Bowl 26. He also played for the Arizona Cardinals, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Buffalo Bills, Jacksonville Jaguars, and Detroit Lions, and he played 2 years in the Canadian Football League. So he's making his boxing debut on this card, so best wishes to Leon Joe. Also, former world champion Vinny Paz will be in attendance, saying hi to the fans and signing autographs, taking pictures, so that's great to see. But one of the big things about this card is that it will also be a fundraiser for a lady by the name of Tina Frost. Now, again, Jake Smith does an outstanding job in the community, and when he finds out different stories, he does his best to try to use his cards, help raise money for people in need. And he does it again with Tina Frost. October 1st, Frost was shot in the head during that awful mass shooting in Las Vegas, that hotel shooting there. Her right eye came out, right eye was moved, and she spent time in a rehab facility. Now, she's originally from Baltimore, but she was working in San Diego as a CPA, certified public accountant, for Ernst & Young. But he's now back with her family here in Maryland, and she's made great progress. She still has a long way to go, however, and her medical bills just continue to grow. Now, here's what's going to happen. The Frost family the sister Frost family, should say, Baltimore Boxing, will have a 50-50 raffle and a silent auction. And if you're unable to make it to the card, you can donate at a GoFund site, GoFundMe.com/Mary Watson Moreland. Once again, that's GoFundMe.com, Mary Watson Moreland. So once again, that is Friday, January 26th. Unfortunately, I cannot make it. That is, of course, my wife's birthday, so she cannot. I cannot make that card, but it will be a good one. All tickets at $40. And you can go to BaltimoreBoxing.com to find more details. And once again, that is Friday, January 26th at Michaels 8th Avenue in Glen Burnie, Maryland. And right now, that's the only Beltway action that we have for the next couple of months right now. And no word when we're going to have any Beltway boxing cards anytime soon. So we'll keep you posted when that happens. But suffice it to say, it's still going to be a very busy couple of weeks. So make sure you join us all throughout the last couple of weeks. Myself and Juan Marshall will be coming for you. And by the way, Juan and I will get together at some point, and we will go over the selections we made for our year in review. Juan and I will talk about that on a podcast in not too distant future. So hopefully you can check that out as soon as we can get that together. But it's just going to be a very, very busy time for local boxing. So make sure you join us right here. Subscribe to the podcast. Download the app, the free Box on the Beltway Google app for Android. Subscribe to the pages on Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio.com. Follow those pages, and you'll be updated every way throughout the months as we get close to some great bouts coming up in the not too distant future. Once again, don't forget Friday, January 12th, Tori Nelson versus Clarissa Shields on Showtime beginning at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Beltway Boxing News and Notes once again brought to you by Real Time Pain Relief. You go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real Time Pain Relief. You get a free $10 tube of Real Time Pain Relief. Say it, Courtney.
Move on. If it's guess what? Next time, on Friday, this goes karaoke.
Okay, my daughter would like you to know that she's doing karaoke on Friday, so I don't know why she's saying that. But anyway, be as it may, don't forget to join us each and every week for our Beltway Boxing News and Notes podcast. Look forward to being more consistent with it this year than we were at some points last year because, again, so much going on. We got to keep you updated as best we can. For now, I'm Gary Digital Williams. Thanks for joining me, everybody. And always remember to keep supporting the best boxing in the world, the boxing along the Beltway. Thanks for listening. Take care.